Hey everyone, it's Mark, and here we are sitting at my desk. This is where I'm working on zombie pirates again, and I'm also working on a sculpture for a client, and it's going to go on this large styrofoam ball. But that's on the floor for right now. I just made this today, but on weekends I'd like to work on zombie pirates if possible. My son is now old enough to where he's going to school, and I can work on different projects and put more time into them. Here's some characters you can see over across the desk of for a commercial project that didn't work out, and so these might actually be used in zombie pirates to some extent in the future. I don't really know. There's so many ways we can go with zombie pirates, but it's just been so long, to make this film. It's just the first film, and I decided, now that we're in this new place, we moved, and so, the last place was not puppet friendly, and so, like Captain Quill here, just kind of fell apart. His head fell off, he melted. It got so hot in the garage that the clay just didn't like to hold up so well. So I'm gonna actually, I don't know if I'm gonna recycle this hand or not. This hand came out, just kind of held in with some brass tubing. That's how I built these. And so I might use that inside of Robo's arm here, but I gotta figure that out later. And if I can smooth this up, I'll probably use it though, because it's actually a really good hand. And here we have Robo's head. This is gonna attach to this foam body through this piece of brass tubing. I just had to add some pink clay up here, and it's gonna emulate this, what I had before from a previous shot. And this shot here I might redo because I don't really like the way I sculpted his legs, so I might redo this shot in the future. But this is going to be for all the future shots where Robo has a lot of action. We're going to use this foam latex body, and you can see I can squish it, bounces back, and I might actually have to start repainting some of this as well. I think I might use a more off-white color like ivory, like the clay. Actually, I don't even know if I used ivory here. I might have used some sort of, I don't know. But it's not really pure white like this is, so I don't think it's going to show up so well on film. It might show up as too bright. So anyway, I have a lot of decisions to make on that. But that's something I'm working on for tonight. I'm gonna try and finish up this head. I've got this heat gun here, and I got this at Harbor Freight really cheap, like $10 or something like that. And what I do is I'm going to heat up this clay and soften it a little bit because it's a little bit chilly in here. We got air conditioning now. And I'm going to roll it through our pasta roller machine and make it flat. And I'm going to cover up all this this area here and make his hat really nice and even looking. So that's the goal with Robo for this puppet. And so we've got, here's our studio. We've got a lot of stuff. Here's our old lunchbox system, which we're not going to use anymore. And we've got all our tools over here. You can see most of the stuff that when we moved, we put inside the garage also, so it's a little bit tight. But as you can see, the ship fit in here. And here's our cabinet. So we had to move all this stuff really carefully into this new house. Actually, this is where we used to live, so it's not really our new house, but you can see everything's inside. And some of these puppets were, melted, and you can see they're shiny, and it's pretty pathetic. But the cool thing about this is I've got a silicone mold of, this is going to be the Octo Zombie, so he's going to have an octopus arm. But since we got molds, you can see we cast him in Castelline. It's almost like a plastic, but it's really a wax. But it's kind of like hard. As you can hear that. So you can smooth it out. But the great part is it's preserved. I cast up a couple of extra Captain Quill heads because we had the mold and I was casting them for a possible commercial job. But I figured we could always use those in the future. Maybe I can use Captain Quill in some more scenes for future episodes. And in here you can see we have Shimbu, our monk, and he's sort of like the spiritual advisor of the ship. Here's our silicone molds, and this here is a zombie that my nephew made and wanted to put in here. He was inspired by by my zombies. And so Patrick, if you're watching, this is your puppet, right? Pretty cool. And we got our ships, miniature ships, and we've got our mermaid. And she, luckily, is in great shape. You can see she melted a little bit in the last house. So I'll have to patch her up just a tiny bit, as well as our large, fat zombie woman. And I might actually do some changes to her as well, just because I don't know if I like the design 100%. But, yeah, we'll see. When I get to animating those shots, I might change that a little bit. So anyway, yeah, we have Captain Quill's head, as I showed you before. His head melted slightly and broke off from his armature, but his head still remains. It's in good shape. You know, I can always fix it if I have to, but since I have these castings, it's not really necessary. I can always make a new one, so not the end of the world. Alright, so moving over here, we can see the ship, and I spent a lot of time last night, maybe 4 hours or so, just cleaning it up, dusting it off, making sure there's no dirt or anything, and reassembling all the parts. Like this back piece here had to go on there, and had to attach that back piece where that line is here. See that line? That part kind of clicks or clips into this rear piece here. And I also, what I did is, a lot of this rope had dings, because in the last house, it was like a bad luck house. We had this rig here attached to the ceiling in the last house, and my wife opened up the garage door, and the door basically disengaged this, I guess you could say, from the ceiling, and the whole thing fell and got smashed, and all the wire got scratched, and all the little dings would cause like all the green screen to show, reflect off the wires and really mess up the shot. So I repainted it with the original paints, and a lot of this stuff, this part here had broken off, so I had to repair it. Might have to paint that too a little bit. This part broke off in the move, and I had to repair that. So a lot of repairs. There was a lot of dust, because it's been like 3 years since I've truly been able to actually put this out and do some animation on. So I'm really excited about it. So I'm really, you know, it's like I'm going to start soon, and I'm just thinking, wow, it's going to be so much fun. But here you can see some barrels, and this one here I had to repair. Unless I can, you know, raise some funds. Like this barrel cracked. This is the original sculpture that I used to make a mold of for some plastic barrels, and I wasn't really going to use this one in the film. And unfortunately, the Sculpey is starting to crack, because I think inside of here I've got like a wooden dowel or something. So I need to patch this, fill all these cracks, smooth them out real nice, repaint the whole thing, and I want them to sort of match these barrels here. And I think this one, you can see it's a lightweight plastic. If I just wanted to crush it, I could. But anyway, the next shots I'm going to try to work on, like I say, really soon. But the cool part about the whole thing is I've got this new system, which is a Dragon Frame system with a Mac Mini over here. It's actually a computer. It's really small and compact, and it has a 500 gig hard drive. You can see here Dragon Frame has a live image up, and I can like wave my hand in there, you can see. And it's got some really awesome features. If you guys haven't used Dragon Frame before, definitely check out the demo on stopmotionstore.com, and you can test out you know, all the features on there. There's a lot of camera settings you can change within the program, and it's just so much fun. Let's change it. Let's do this. Oop. So for example, if you're going to do a really long shot, or hold the shutter open for a really long time as you take your shot. Usually you step down your aperture really low and you can't see anything because it's too dark. So you can actually change all those settings so everything becomes bright and you can animate, and if it's really dark you can come over on this left side here and you can see, click this, and you can actually brighten up your shot, make it brighter if you want, all the way until it's like being on the sun. So even if you have a really dark shot, you can always come in and just alter it exactly the way you want it. And I don't know, there's just too much to talk about with Dragon Frame. It's really an amazing program. But we've got our Dragon Frame controller, which is you can capture the frames with, which is great because it's got a long cord. You can always just take it over to where you're animating, for example, and you can look back at your screen and then come over here and go back and forth with your frames if you want to, or if you want to, if you guys are thinking of buying a system, the Mac Mini is really great. You can get one of these wireless keyboards and just set it up here wherever you are. Just make sure that it's not going to mess up your shot and you can see it, but you can flip back and forth as well with this without any wires that you can trip on. So it gives you a couple of options. Even got this wireless mouse, which I didn't realize it was so expensive until I ended up paying for it, and looking at the receipt it was like almost 65 bucks. So a little bit pricey for these wireless mice for Macs, but if you don't want to trip on any wires as you're animating, it's a great idea. So anyway, that's just my update. So I'm going to get back to working over here on Robo. Alright, well, I just finished Robo's foam latex version. And you can see here I just made a simple base for him. Using some styrofoam and a piece of wood with some holes drilled, because the tie ends are pretty long. But here he is, and I'm pretty proud of him. I think his arms might be just a tad bit too long, but yeah, there he is. Hopefully he'll work out. This particular armature is lead wire and brass, and it's pretty old. This was also baked in an oven. A lot of the epoxy that held the armature together became brittle and broke. So a while back I actually repaired this armature. I cut them apart and re-epoxied parts together, but as you can see there's a little bit of give and wobble in some of the armature itself, but I think it'll be okay. I just had to compensate, kind of like when you use a any kind of aluminum wire armature. The rubber gives it a little bit of springiness to it, so you kind of gotta go past where you normally go when you animate it, and it springs back slightly. So it's not something that's really unusual, but of course, if we had a big budget, we could use a ball and socket armature. Now Robo has a replacement mouse system, and you can see that when I animate them I'll have to cover up the seam, and just on the side that faces the camera, of course. I can also manipulate that in Photoshop if I wanted to, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. The ankles are the only major issue though, and that kind of troubles me a bit, because you can see here he kind of the ankles seem to be loose for some reason. I don't understand why. I think that the epoxy, probably when it was baked, it came loose. So I don't know if I'm going to open this up and re-epoxy these parts and then close it back up again, which I can do. But I'm going to probably have to modify some of the storyboard to adjust for the fact that he can't stay on one leg. I can do pretty much anything I want, with the shot where the camera is above his waist. So there's a few tricks I can do to, correct for that. Of course, in future episodes, if we're able to raise a bunch of funds, we can use, ball and socket armatures that won't have any problem like that whatsoever. And here's one from Tetsu in Japan, who's an expert armature maker, and Who knows, maybe I can use one of these in future episodes. But that'll depend on raising funds, and it's been kind of hard to do that lately, unfortunately, for a lot of people. But yeah, this would make a really cool armature for a zombie pirate puppet. But anyway, I just wanted to do that final update for this video, just to show that I'm making some progress. Weekends, I plan to work on zombie pirates a lot, maybe even during the week, in between sculpting for my other client, and of course taking orders and fulfilling them and all that kind of stuff on the website. But yeah, there he is. Get some close-ups. You can see the detail there. And his mustache comes off, as you can see here. And his mouth sticks on kind of like that. And of course his pipe comes out. It has to be moved into each mouth position for each frame. And of course I should have taken the pipe off first and then put the mustache on, but I've only got one hand to do it. So there he is. And oh yeah, these hands here are also from Captain Quill. These were used in the film and animated on his body, but if you recall, he melted, so I just fixed up his hands a bit. And another thing I also forgot to mention is that I darkened the color of his body because it didn't match the clay version here. And I wanted it to be kind of a little bit more muddy because I don't want the light to seem too bright bouncing off that light color. Alright, so that's it for this episode. See y'all next time.